What's going on, everyone? Welcome to QVO Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming to retail the week of April 28th. We have some cool games coming out. I'm really excited about these games. So let's get this video going so we can get to the games. One quick note, these videos have been extremely late lately, as in they should be dropping on Monday mornings, and they're not. Life lately has been really hectic and crazy. My day job has been extra busy, and I am a salaried employee. Unfortunately enough, I have a job, which is the best thing about it. However, I am salaried, so that means my hours tend to fluctuate of how much I work per day, and it has leaked over to the weekend these past few, I think it's past month and a half now, at this point, 2 months even. So my apologies for that. We're going to be coming back to a regularly scheduled Monday morning video soon. I'm just trying to really adjust to everything going on at work at the moment, and then trying to make sure these videos go up on a timely manner. So my apologies for that. Next thing is, I don't do coverage on Kickstarter games here. I only cover games coming to retail. However, we have some great content creators that post some great coverage on Kickstarter about Kickstarter games, and specifically weekly, like we do here for retail games. Shelf Clutter does an amazing video every Monday, and I want you to check out their channel if you're looking for the next Kickstarter update coming up, or any games in the future you're looking forward to. He also does great one-off videos about specific games, and that is also a great way to view. I actually do watch his videos, and because of Shelf Clutter, I end up actually backing a lot of games. I just love Kickstarter upgrades and like those Deluxe 5 components. I'm a big sucker for those. However, I also do love games that you can buy and pay like today. It kind of reminds me of the beauty of when going back to retail, right? It reminds me of the beauty of, like, you go to the game store, you see a game, you pick it up, you run home, you play it like that same day. I think there's some like type of nostalgia to that, right? That you get from retail games, and you don't get that from Kickstarter because you buy back a game and you wait 2 years. Both different. I love both. That's kind of a thing about retail games for me. And then Kickstarter games, I love me miniatures, and I love deluxeified components. It just adds to the experience for me. Let's get this video going. Keep in mind, I'm covering the games coming to retail in the US. Next thing, keep in mind, if a game's retail release date changes, I'll make sure to update you about that change in its new respective video. Let's show off some games because there's some fun stuff coming out this week. First things first, coming out on April 30th is going to be Stonespine Architects by Thunderworks Games. This video is late, so this game should already be out and ready for you to pick up from their website, and other retail shops should be getting it soon. So, Stonespine Architects, I love the concept of this game. I got to get a demo of it over at Gamma, and it was such a cool game. So I'm going to go over to some pictures so you can view. But in this game, you're working on building your own dungeon, right? You're an architect. You're an architect, and you're trying to build your own dungeon. And as you go through, wherever you place your dungeons and make these pathways, as shown in this picture, you're trying to make a dungeon that a adventurer and explorer is going to go through, right? That's kind of like the theme. Based in this specific game, you're going to be picking and passing card drafting different cards with different things at the bottom course, different placement reasons that you would place them in specific sections, and you're going to be making a pathway through the dungeon. If you notice here, you have like traps and such, and there's going to be enemies, and there's treasures and such, and every time you end up adding a card to your tableau and you're building out, you're scoring patterns essentially. It's very tile placement-esque, right? Tableau building even. There's many different scoring options, and you're going through and trying to build the best and most efficient dungeon that scores you the most points. I think the concept of this game is so much fun, and I really can't wait to get a copy and play it. This is going to be a game that Thunderworks has been releasing a lot of great games, and they have a very cool lineup coming up. So I'm really pumped, and this specific game has been one that's been on my radar. It was on Kickstarter, and now it's coming out to retail. This is actually a game I'm really excited about. This is Stonespine Architects by Thunderworks Games, coming out to you on April 30th. Coming up next, coming out April 30th, is going to be Roma by 25th Century Games, coming out on April 30th. I think I said that earlier, actually. That's one last time I'm saying that. Roma is a game by Stan Kordonski. I am a fan of Stan Kordonski. I really do enjoy most of his games. There's only one specific one that I didn't enjoy so far is Endless Winter. But I love exploring. I love going into like a designer and just exploring their catalog of games they designed or they worked on, and really diving in deeper and just absorbing like their design style and such like that. And Stan Kordonski is one of the designers who I've been diving really deep into playing all their games and really exploring the concept and mechanics of their games. And I'm always impressed with Stan. So Roma doesn't fall short in typical Stan Kronowski fashion. It's going to be a game where you're going to be trying to build out the new capital, right? Nova Roma, in an ancient city of, I'm going to say this completely wrong, Byzantium. And to establish your new capital, the emperor summoned his most trusted patricians and tasked them in a variety of duties with the emperor's tireless support. The incredible task was accomplished in just 6 years. So this kind of encapsulates that moment in history and puts it into a board game. I just want to talk about like other Stan's games that I really enjoy, but let's keep it on Nova Roma. Let's keep it on Nova Roma. I'm going to scroll through pictures here so you can see as I talk. So in Nova Roma, you're going to be sending out your workers in a typical like contract and typical like almost like worker placement fashion essentially, and you have different worker types, and as you're going through, you're going to be collecting different resources and such. You're going to be using in fulfilling contracts. You're going to have a little bit of area majority and influence, and you're going to have a little bit of pattern building going on. So I always consider like very Euro-esque, right? You're going to go through. You're going to be putting your workers, collecting your resources, and doing different pathways to victory essentially. So you can take the pathway of doing X thing, right, or collecting the specific pattern of the contracts, filling the contracts, having the area majority. So it's all different, and there's of course going to be end game bonuses in the game where you're going to be scoring up. Very worker placement, Euro-esque in my opinion, very Stan Kronowski fashion, in most of his games, which I do. Like I said, I am a big fan. The game itself looks so much fun, and I am pumped to give it a shot. I really, really, really want to try it. This game was on crowdfunding, and now it's coming out to you to retail. That's not much to it past that. It's just, like I said, Nova Roma, it's going to be a Euro-style worker placement game, and you're going to have a little bit of area major influence, you're going to have contracts, end game bonuses, pattern building, that's all that stuff. Nova Roma, coming out to you on April 30th by 25th Century Games. Coming up next, we have Tangram City, coming out to you by Capstone Games. I really like the art in this. It just reminds me of like Super Mario Brothers 3, 8-bit, like 16-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit like style of art. I don't know. I really love the art. And even the palette alone kind of reminds me of that. In Tangram City, it's going to be a tile placement game. Oh, pictures are right here. My apologies. It's a tile placement game, and as you go through, you want to build out your tiles the best way possible. But the cool part is that they're not really just squares, right? There's a lot of other different shapes as you're kind of putting your tiles down. The best way that you're going to be putting down your tiles, and the one who does the best pattern building ends up being the one who gets the most points. The whole thing's collecting the most points. This game looks interesting. I really do love the art, and I love the fact that the tiles aren't all just squares or rectangles or just one shape. They're all very different, and then also on your player board where you're building out your city, your Harmonious City. It looks like there's like little cubes here where you follow out a diagram, and it's really, really interesting. I really like that a lot. Past that, there isn't really much to say for the fact that there is a lot of games like this already. And there are games that have specific different shaped tiles like this. I believe one of them is going to be, the one off the top of my head is going to be, it's by Fowler Games, and it's a carnival game, and I cannot remember it. I have it behind me somewhere. And that's going to be, there's games like this already. So I'm wondering to see how this is going to hold up next to all of them. Oh, also, I almost forgot to mention one of the biggest things. In this game, you're also going to be putting out your tiles, but as you put your tiles down, you're kind of also having a flip mechanism that activates different scoring conditions as you play the game. So that adds a little bit of different gameplay instead of just being a tile placement game. This game is by Uwe Rosenberg. Uwe is like a very big legendary designer. I mean, he really has designed so many different games in our realm. One thing about Uwe that I've noticed is like these games have a very heavy influence on luck, which is something that I do enjoy, and I think every game needs a little bit of luck involved in it, but it seems like they're very heavily influenced at times. However, it doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed his games previously. There are a lot of games. Specifically, there's a lot. I'm not even going to it because I'll go down to a list. I do love Uwe's games. I just can be a critic sometimes. Tangram City, tile placement game, coming out to you on on May 1st by Capstone Games. Coming up next, coming out to you on May 1st is going to be Surf's Up by Good Games Publishing. I actually got to play this game at Gamma in 2023, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So this game has a little bit of bluffing, you have deduction, it's a card game of course. I'm going to switch over to Board Game Geek to show you some pictures and show you what it looks like. In this specific game, you're going to have your board in the middle course, and you're basically a surfer, and your whole thing is to gain respect by catching good waves, right? And the respect comes from the little hands here, to turn by little hands here. When you're going through, as you try to manage your way through the waves are, you're going to see them coming, and you see the waves coming down, you're going to have different cards, right? And different cards mean different things. Some have more points, some have a blue bottle, and a blue bottle basically stings you, and you get a blue bottle token, which gives you -3 points. The whole thing is managing that as you go. But as you use the cards in your hand, and everyone has an identical set of cards in their hand, you're going to be using your cards and keeping track of what your other opponents, if they have a 4 left, oh, they haven't used their 5, so I can maybe save that for this. Or they're probably going to play their 5 now for the 10, they're saving that, so I can use this, right? Or use my 5. And the thing is, if there is 2 surfers or 2 players who use the same number, it comes down to the level of respect they have, right? The respect are the hand signs here. And these, if you have 3 and you both have a 5 and they have a 2, you basically, it comes down to a tie, but since you got more respect, you won that one, correct? But if you have less respect, you lost it. However, if you both have equal amounts of respect and you both played the 5s at the same time, which is the highest card in your hand, you end up wiping out, and the next person takes it. So there's a little bit of deduction going on when you're playing the game, trying to find out who's going to play what, how are they going to play it. And as you go through, you can use your respect to play with, like, grab stuff from the market, as you notice at the bottom here, and it gives you some more cards that have different effects and such like that. That's a small gist of this game. This game just comes with so much strategy involved in the game. It was so fun to play, and I really want to play it. Oh, and of course, the little quick thing is the blue bottle here, right? In if you see in this picture, the next wave coming up is blue bottle, so you want to avoid getting that, right? You don't want to get that. So you kind of have to sometimes you have to pre-plan your turns in advance to make sure that you don't get that blue bottle, gives you a -3 points. So you don't want to be the highest, you want to be the lowest, right? It just a lot of like little strategy and gimmicks that I love. It's a little bit of set collection. You have a little bit of deck building, of course, involved with it, because as you go through it, you can purchase a card that you need later, but it's not really a deck. You have the cards in your hand at all times. The game is actually really good. It was a really fun game, and I think they did a great job. It won a couple of awards as well in some board game designing competitions, so definitely check it out. Surf's Up is a really cool game. It's by Good Games Publishing and a little briefcase. However, check it out. I run one I highly recommend, and I usually don't like giving recommendations or reviews on these videos. I try to be as biased as possible and try to give you like my unbiased opinion. It just came out today, so I apologize about that, but check out Surf's Up. This game comes out on May 1st by Good Games Publishing. Moving on to Moving Wild, coming out to you on May 2nd by Oink Games. Oink Games releases a bunch of great games. They really do a great job. So let's talk about Moving Wild real quick. So in Moving Wild, you're developing your own national park, right? And as you do that, you're going to have some card drafting, taking one card, pass it. In a very similar fashion, there are other games that do the same. I'm going to scroll down here to show you some pictures. So here's going to be in a very distinct fashion. You have your cards that you're organizing. As you organize your cards, right, in your tableau section, you're going to want to keep in mind some animals want to be located next to specific either habitats or other animals. Some animals don't want to be around other animals, right? So you have to keep that stuff in mind. But as you draft your animals, you do have to have the habitats to house them, or else you can get minus points. So the whole game, as you're drafting, you're just trying to build out the best national park and organize your tableau in the best fashion possible. That's the gist of the game, right? It's a very straightforward and simple game, comes in a small box. And like I said, Oink Games does a really good job with all that stuff, with how to do that stuff. And in this game itself, if you look on the top left, you have different icons, and the icons mean different things. So as you're pairing different animals and making your tableau, keep those in mind to score the highest points. Very straightforward game. However, I think the coolest part is that Oink Games usually does such a great job with their games. I want to check it out and try it. It plays up to 6 players, and it fits in a purse or even your backpack. You can play it anywhere, at a park, waiting in line somewhere. I've done that a lot when I'm waiting in line at places. I know I'm going to be waiting for like at least 2-3 hours. I'll bring like a small game to play, either on the ground or one that we can play on our hands or something around those lines, right? This is kind of what Oink Games is all about, and they do have a really good catalog of games. Moving Wild's one I'm going to check out just because of their reputation, that alone. And apparently this game also comes with a solo mode, so I'm kind of curious about that. Moving Wild by Oink Games, coming out to you on May 2nd. Coming up next is going to be Streamer Standoff, coming out to you on May 3rd by Dr. Lupo and Maestro Media. This game's an interesting one. It has a very interesting theme. So you're basically playing as a streamer, right? And your whole goal is to match different cards to create the hit video or the trendiest video. And you're matching current hot trends in the middle of the table, essentially, right? That's kind of where it comes down to all these cards and to components, and you have your player board and such. You're going to be building a channel or a reputation and becoming known for like certain types of content as you kind of build out. That's the gist of the game. Essentially, each turn you transition from like internet obscurity to like streamer greatness, right? Trying your best to maximize your turns and get the most views with the cards in play. And each card, of course, has different scoring conditions, of course, and as you go through, you have your top part here where it's like, oh, like who's higher, who's getting there. Oh, I got 1,000,000 hits, I got 2,000,000 hits, 3,000,000 hits, and of course 2,000,000. Your goal is to be the best one, and you do that by drafting and putting specific cards in play at the right time. That's the biggest thing of the game. The theme, like I said, is a little funny. Because like just streamer standoff, I guess it's about content creating. So I'm wondering how well it's gonna do. Typically, I've never seen a theme like this be performed before, which is kind of interesting. So I'm really curious how this is gonna go. It kind of reminds me of a game called No Context, but without like the funny party side of things. It's more like a very serious game of like trying to score the highest, basically. Streamer Standoff by Maestro Media and Dr. Lupo coming out to you on May 3rd. We made it to the end of the video. Thank you for making it this far. I appreciate that so much. That helps the channel grow. If you're picking up any of these games that I mentioned today, let me know which one it is. And maybe it's not one that we mentioned, or maybe it's one that you've been saving up for the past few weeks. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for making this far into the video. I really appreciate that, and have a great one.